The camera's ready? All good? No. Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this pre-match press conference ahead of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup final. Please ensure you've got a microphone in your hand and raise your hand before you ask a question. We'll get started down here.
Hi, Mitch. Packed press conference room, a lot of buzz. Means you're playing India. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, first thing, I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I mean, we played obviously India a little bit before the tournament started, and it was a good series for us, obviously building up for the World Cup. So, yeah, I guess there's no secrets to what is going to be out there tomorrow. But yeah, no, first thing, boys are buzzing, obviously World Cup final, and guys are excited and ready to go.
Yeah, Mitch here. How both the teams reach the final, does it matter? Because after all, this is a last game and the day of the final, how you perform matters?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you know, everyone's goal is to get through each stage, whether it's this group stage, Super 8 into the semis. So I think, yeah, I mean, we've had different roads to get to where we are today, but at the end of the day, it's a one-off game shootout against a very good team. We know that, and yeah, I mean, boys are excited. Yeah, I think, you know, I think momentum's obviously a massive part. We're taking a lot of confidence from our last game, and I think India will do the same.
Yeah, Mitch, just want to know what do you make of the wicket? Because last time around the finale held here, there was a lot of chatter around that wicket. What's your understanding, and you know, how much you are talking and in your conversations? Jasprit Bumrah is the part of your conversations. How much is that guy?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a look at the wicket yet. It's still under cover, but one can only assume it's going to be pretty flat and high scoring. So I think, yeah, and in terms of Bumrah, I think he should be in everyone's conversation the way he's been going. Yeah, I think England, yeah, looked pretty hard to hit, and he was obviously the game changer for India the other night. But we knew that was going to be the case. He's obviously a world-class bowler, but, you know, not just him. You know, I think the way everyone's been rolling in the Indian team, whether it's with bat or ball, everyone's stepped up at different times, and that's as a team, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, Mitchell, when you look at New Zealand's 4-1 loss, unfortunately, that you had prior to the bilateral series, what are the takeaways that you've taken from that bilateral series? And does it apply even in an ICC final, or are the dynamics totally different when it comes to the planning, the execution bit?
I think in terms of the planning and the execution, it was a great series. You know, we were challenged at times, well, a lot of times throughout that series. But again, it's you kind of build on, you know, what works, what doesn't work, and you kind of take that, you know, information going forward. You know, we obviously played on 5 pretty good surfaces throughout India. I guess, again, not sure what this is going to play like, but again, I assume it's going to be pretty good. And yeah, it's all learnings, and I think guys will take, you know, it's obviously good conversations from that series into this game already. And again, it's, you know, if we learn from that and try put India under, you know, pressure for a long time, and I guess a World Cup final's a little bit different to, you know, a series.
Hi, Mitch. A slightly longer and slightly philosophical question. So this will be New Zealand's 5th final appearance at an ICC white ball event in the last 11 years. On one hand, that is a testament to how impeccably consistent the team has been over the last decade, but then none of those previous 4 appearances culminated in a silverware. And when it doesn't, the narrative that we have fed is that New Zealand are a bunch of good guys who don't win trophies, but they win hearts. Clearly, you must be fed up of that. Do you want to be tomorrow the bunch of bad guys who break 1 billion hearts as opposed to winning it? Or are you of the opinion that the journey outweighs trophies?
I wouldn't mind winning a trophy. But yeah, I think that's, you know, you look at this group and the groups that have been in the past, you know, we are pretty consistent in these tournaments because we try not get, you know, overruled by the situation or opponents. We just go out there and do our thing, and as a unit, it's been no different this time. And again, it's going to be obviously a challenge where, everyone knows we're probably not the favourites. But we don't mind. We know we can, if we do our little things well and put in a strong team performance, it'll put us in a pretty good position to hopefully lift the trophy. But yeah, I wouldn't mind breaking a few hearts to lift the trophy for once.
Mitch, we talk so much about how important the power play is in T20s. You've got Finn and Tim on one side, you've got Matt in particular on the other side. Where do you see that balance lying when you compare it with India?
Yeah, I think obviously with the India kind of go hard, obviously at the top, but all the way through. And I think the only way to slow any team down is wickets at the top, and then try squeeze a few overs in the middle. I think it's very hard if guys get away, to slow them down without taking wickets. So I think whatever the plan looks like, it's. But I think if you're not taking wickets, what's the best method or way to not get hit for a boundary, or even if you do, it's how do you close overs out versus turning those ones into 15, 20. And at the end of the day, if it's going to be flat, it might be like the other night, trying to restrict India to 220 instead of 250. It might give you a good chance. So again, it's all dependent on the surface, what that looks like out there tomorrow. It's still undercover, so I don't know what it looks like. But I think, and then on the flip side with the bat, it's the opposite. It's how do you put the guys under pressure for 6 overs? Not losing wickets along the way. It's easy to say don't lose wickets, but also get runs, because it's a pretty tough balance. But I think we know how deep India bat, that they're going to put us under pressure for the first over to the 7th over to the 12th over, all the way through. So I think what that looks like for us is trying to be very clear in what that looks like, and try, I guess, if you can't get wickets, get hit for one.
Hi, Mitch. Hi there. It's an extension to the previous one, where you mentioned you won't mind breaking hearts tomorrow. But I want to know, is there some sort of change in the mindset in the dressing room to claim the maiden title? You guys have come quite close a few times in the past. But what about the mindset? What about some statical changes in the dressing room?
I think the mindset's the same. It's easy to say it's just another game, but everyone knows it's probably not. But I think the way you go about it has to be the same, whether it's your preparation, what that looks like on the day leading up to the game. And I think, there's always comes down to a couple of moments, especially in T20 cricket, where if you can, squeeze the opposition or take, the advantage through there. I think we saw it the other night. I don't know, it always comes down to fielding at some stage, but if you can be very consistent in the way you approach the game, with, bearing a couple of moments where you could potentially be a little bit more ruthless, or what that looks like. But I think, I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel. It's just, you're making a final, you're coming up against another team who's also playing some pretty good cricket, so it's never that easy.
Hi, Mitch. Both teams produced pretty terrifying batting performances to win their semi-finals. What were your thoughts as India was scoring 250 odd against England? Do you feel fear at all? Is fear a thing? And if so, do you think they're more scared of you than you are of them?
I guess you'll have to ask them, but I think, when it's going to be high scoring, I think, gone are the days of trying to roll a team on a flat one for 160. So it might be, especially Wankhede, we know it's a great ground for cricket. It's very high scoring, and it was the other night. So I think it's, how do we turn that 250 into a 220 potentially? Even, England were thinking, 230, they could have chased it, and they got 240. So I think, I know they obviously got a lot of runs with the bat, but they also, England came very close with a well executed chase, and I think, it was pretty neck and neck until I think that Bumrah over. So I think, either way, if you know that you're batting first and you can try to get a good score and put some pressure on, or that if you can try to restrict a team to, it might be 220 on a flat one, it puts you in a pretty good position.
Hi, Mitch. Mitch, Varun Chakravarti has hit a bit of a form slump off late, especially the last game, conceding 64 runs of his 4 overs. I mean, going into the final, and he might be a bit low on confidence as well. So going into the final, is that a psychological advantage for you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've all seen how good he is. And I think the challenge is of any bowler is when it is flat, what does it look like? When it's spinning and when it's seaming, it's obviously a challenge for every batter. But when it is flat, what does that look like? And I think, everyone goes for 60 on their day. So I think it's, again, for Varun, I think he's got to know that he's still a very good bowler, and, it's, only one game away from, changing the tide. And it's same with any bowler or any batter. If, they're out of form, they're only one game away from being back in form. So, I obviously try to tell our group that throughout that India series, it's obviously a challenge, but it was a good learnings. It was, it doesn't get any harder than that. So I think you can bank on experience from there, going into a game like that tomorrow. If you're in a similar situation, what does it look like? Can you do things slightly different? It might, be the winning and losing of a game.
Which, in the context of what's going on in the world today, the escalations in West Asia, has the team spoken within the group or what they think about it? And, what would it really mean to the New Zealand team if they are to win the World Cup in context of what's happening in the world today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one to avoid or not see, because it is, everywhere, and it's obviously a pretty tough situation. I think obviously people at the World Cup have been affected as well, guys not being able to go home, and I think for us it's trying to just think about what it looks like tomorrow for the game, and then it's obviously a challenge to put that out of your mind, but I guess for us it's thinking on what does tomorrow look like for us against a very, very good Indian team.
Hi, Mitch. Congratulations on an amazing campaign so far. I'm just curious to know how a team and how you are as the captain viewing playing a side that comes into a final on the back of that kind of a game. A momentum is huge in T20 cricket, and when you see a team like India and the kind of game they had, a semi-final they had with the moments, how do you prepare to face that sort of a team mentally?
Yeah, I mean, you want to kind of be consistent in your approach. Obviously a lot of different things can happen throughout any game of cricket, but I think the way you approach it has to be the same. We'll approach it the same as we did for the semi-final against South Africa, as we did for game one against Afghanistan. You put in the work that leading into the game, and you get your process and your video and what that looks like, and then you go out there and just try execute the best you can. I think India would be very, have a lot of momentum or a lot of, confidence going to this game, I think, especially with the bat. They know with the ball they could have been, a little bit better, conceding 240 in a very high-scoring game. So I think, we know that both teams will be going to the game with confidence in where their games are at. And I think it's, whoever kind of can do it for a long time tomorrow, we'll put in a pretty good position.
Hey, Mitch. Cool. How's the rest of the squad taken Cole's inclusion, considering some of them are sitting out? Because I'm asking this because there's a culture of care in New Zealand cricket which makes taking these decisions a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think it's always a challenging one for the guys who aren't playing. You come to a World Cup and you obviously want to play every game. It's not that easy. I think most teams, for us it was a very match-up based decision. Obviously losing Michael Bracewell, who could have done that role, obviously that Cole's doing now, and I think Cole coming straight in, it's obviously a challenge. I think when you have the buy-in of the group, it's not just the 11 out there, it's the 15 in the squad. It's the guys not playing, they get mentioned all the time, all their work off the ball, support staff as well. It's we're all on this journey together. Yeah, there's 11 guys that go out and take the field, but it's more than that. And I think that when you get the buy-in of the whole squad, I guess those decisions are taken way better when they know that they're part of something bigger and a bigger picture. And I guess that comes down to the environment, how you can set the environment up for that.
Mish, hi. In the Super 8s, South Africa showed that India are very much beatable. David Miller did say after the game that they probably showed how India are beatable. The last semi-final against England pushed them really close. So now when you build up to this final, do you think you have some sort of edge going into it? Because 1 lakh people, 99,000 probably cheering for the host, give them that feeling of being overwhelmed by the crowd, because not a very long time ago, Pat Cummins showed how to silence that crowd. So are you up for that as well?
Yeah, I guess that's the goal, and is to silence the crowd. But I think, I think that there is a lot of variables in T20 cricket, and it is fickle at times. And we've seen throughout the whole World Cup that a lot of teams are on similar pages, and it comes down to some little moments in every game that changes the outcome. And so I think England were very close to chasing that the other night. We've seen South Africa playing very good cricket all the way through, and then I guess had a little hiccup against us, and you're out. So I think for us, it's taking confidence in that we can, if we go about our business the same way, we can upset another big team. And I think there's obviously a lot of pressure on India to win this World Cup at home. I mean, it would be, I guess if we don't win, it'd be pretty cool for to win a home World Cup. So I think that comes with a lot of added pressure as well. So if we can go out there and try put, I guess, that added pressure on them and see what happens.